What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Catch-All Media channel. My name is Andrew, and today's video is going to be a quick review of the physical release as well as the film itself. And this movie reviewed in this edition is going to be David Cronenberg's Crash. This is the Criterion release. This did get a release from Arrow as well in the UK, but the Region A release is the Criterion. That's going to be your best option here. This film was directed and put out in 1996. It stars James Spader and Holly Hunter in the lead roles. Let's look at the physical release first, and then we will get into more of the movie. And we won't do any spoilers in this. We'll just do more of talking about plot and some of the interesting things that I found in this movie and my feelings about it in general. So with the cover art here, you can see it's kind of like a busted up car. It's a lot easier to see if you hold it sideways. And then on the inside we do get a pamphlet, booklet, poster kind of deal. So we'll look at that first, and then we'll look at the disc as well. Very similar art. On this side you get the car. Yeah, there you go. You get the car. And on the back you do get a gigantic essay. So it goes, an essay by Jessica Kiang, K-I-A-N-G. And then at the bottom it has cast credits, some message about the transfer, some special things, production credits, things like that. This movie is based off of a book written by J.G. Ballard. I was unaware of that before I watched the film. This film I did not even know was a thing until I started working into Cronenberg's releases and getting into the Criterion sale last month and doing some research and things like that. This one popped up time and time again in some recommendation videos and other articles I was reading. So I really thought I had to have it, especially going through Cronenberg's filmography. So there's just a plain disc, Criterion. And this is spine number 1059. So one of the newer releases, I believe right now we're up into the 1080s maybe. The last couple releases, let's see. Yeah, Memories of Murder was one of the most recent releases, I believe. Fast Times at Ridgemont High came after that. So Crash is, getting back to the point, Crash is a more recent release. So getting into what this film's about, I do not want to do any spoilers because I think that if you haven't seen this film by now, I just want to talk about the plot itself without spoilers, my feelings on that, and my feeling about the movie itself. The movie starts and you meet James Spader and I think her name is Deborah Kara Unger, I believe. Yeah, Deborah Kara Unger plays his partner. I don't remember myself, or I can't remember if they even expressed it explicitly in the film, whether that's his girlfriend, his wife, or whatever it may be. And very quickly into the film you realize that these are two people in a spot where they are very numb to life in general. They don't get a lot of satisfaction in multiple ways through life or through the things going on in their life. And that is very apparent very early on in the film. So what ends up happening is James Spader gets into a car accident. And coming through that car accident, some things happen. Coming out of that, he has crushed basically his whole left or right leg. And he's in the hospital doing some PT. And he encounters this man who is taking pictures of his injuries, and the whole way that scene is shot makes you a little uncomfortable. So, and it seems like there's not very straightforward. Like there's more to this than this man works at the hospital and he takes pictures of injuries and then assesses them for whatever reasons it may be. So apart from that encounter, he gets out. He starts to rehab. He starts integrating himself back into normal life. And he finds this weird sense of curiosity and attraction to the highway and cars outside of his balcony, because that's where he, at one point in the film, is confined to essentially his apartment. So we get a setup there in a scene with him on the balcony shortly after he gets home from the accident. He and Deborah Kara Unger's character are outside watching the highway, and they express how James Spader feels that there's more traffic now out and about, and there's this sense of curiosity and fascination from his point of view, and we see that kind of definitely grow throughout the film. Without getting into too many spoilers or plot points here, he does eventually become involved with someone who was a part of that car crash in one way, shape, or form or the other, who then, through that character, he is introduced to another character. I believe it's played by Elias Cotes. I'm not exactly sure. He's introduced to that character, and that character really takes the film in the direction that it ends up sticking with, which is a very heavy, sex-filled, and fueled tone for the rest of the movie, with a commentary without being a biased commentary on, from my point of view, how desensitized human beings are and have been since more of the modern world has been around. I'd say the last 50 years, so to say, and how that relates to sexuality and how that relates to the urges that human beings have, and how it's interconnected in that certain way. And you go through that in a different a different vehicle, which is a good pun since we're talking about a movie called Crash, which is the vehicle is the film. So it's really tough to talk about a lot of the film without spoiling it. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to, I'm going to tell you that from my point of view, this is a very, very, it's not a tough watch, but it's a very intriguing watch. There's some moments in the film that's going to make you very uncomfortable for one reason or another. Most of you. Some of you may get all the way through it, and it may not feel any kind of strange scenes, or may not make you feel a strange way about the film. But definitely this is a very divisive film from a lot of fans that watch these films by Cronenberg or do not like Cronenberg. Either way, everyone seems to have an opinion on this movie because of the content and because of how it's presented. And it's very much not a biased presentation. Cronenberg gets the character profiles, he puts out his vision from my viewpoint without putting his stamp on it, without telling you how to feel about the events and the characters and their arc and how they end up. And I think that all throughout the whole film, you do not feel that at all. He does not have any bias or preference in his own viewpoint as a filmmaker. So I definitely recommend checking this out. Like I said, I want to get into more, but I do not want to get into any spoilers. So my overall grade and opinion is definitely a thumbs up for this one. I would pick up this release or the Arrow video release. If you're in the UK, I recommend picking up that one over this one. That is my preference, pretty much baseline. If there is a film that has a release from Criterion as well as Arrow, my recommendation is always pick up the Arrow release, because I think that from my experience collecting recently, I have enjoyed my Arrow releases over my Criterion releases pretty much every single time. So I do recommend picking this up, add it to your collection, one way or the other, one release or the other. But let's talk about a few specifics to this release, starting with one of the special features is an hour-long press conference from the Cannes Film Festival. This was, I believe, the day after it aired at Cannes. And when it was at Cannes, there were many people who got up and walked out of the theater because they were so uncomfortable. And against Francis Ford Coppola's wishes, they actually gave the film an award, which has only been given out the one time, I believe, and it was to Crash. And I cannot remember the name of that. It could be right here on the back. So let's take a look real quick and see. Let's see. Yeah, so it says, controversial from the moment it premiered at Cannes, where it won a special jury prize for originality, for daring, and for audacity. Crash has since taken its place as a key text of late 20th century cinema, a disturbingly seductive treatise on the relationships between humanity and technology, sex and violence that is unsettling as it is mesmerizing. I believe that is a perfect way to wrap up this video and this recommendation for this film. I've been really enjoying David Cronenberg's work. I think from what I've seen so far, which is Scanners, Videodrome, and Crash, I think there's another one that I'm forgetting, but out of those that I've listed, I would say this is not my most favorite watch. That would go to Scanners. But I think that this is his best output as a filmmaker that I have seen up to this date. So once again, definitely recommend Crash. Pick it up one way or the other. And that is going to do it for this short non-spoiler review. These are something that I really want to get into doing because I don't want to take up a lot of your all's time, but I do want to talk about some of these films. And I do think that they should be talked about. And I would like to express my opinions and conversate back and forth with you all. So let's start that with Crash here, and we'll go on from there. I would like to get to a Scanners review because I have the Criterion release. I really enjoy that release. It's got fantastic artwork, and some of the special features on it are pretty top notch. So expect another one of these rapid fire reviews coming up in the next couple of days, maybe a week, depending on how my schedule looks. And until then, I hope you guys keep watching fun films, keep picking things up. Let me know what you've been picking up. Let me know what you've been watching. Let's just talk about movies. So until I see you guys again, be good, and we'll do it again soon. Thank you.